Blessings to all of you. Theruvan Saranai. Welcome back to another program of Aloka Dhamma discussion. Objective of Aloka Dhamma discussion to develop good human leaders and right citizens with the right vision and good human qualities. And I hope we've been doing that for last 6 months, and I hope we have made some impact into all of you viewers in this time period. As always, today also we have invited with great respect Venerable Sandalanka Kalanadasan Thero and Venerable Gampa Sumanawansa Thero to the studio for our discussion. Actually, I'll start with a small story. I was having a chat with one of the vice chancellors of a state university a couple of weeks back, and that professor was telling me 40% of the student population, undergraduates, are going under depression. And he was telling me the reason is they set 200% of the goals which we have set to ourselves when we were in the university, but they are only willing to put an effort only about 20 to 30% of what you all have said. That's what the professor was telling me. So which is one of the issues we have with the current generation, especially the young generation. Not only that, that is one of the issues we are having in managing our corporate lives and managing our corporate teams. Most of us always think and demand only rewards. But what we forget is the fact that there is a prerequisite for the reward, for the return, which is effort, which is sacrifice. There is nobody in this world is going to gain anything, any reward, without a proper effort or without a proper sacrifice. But unfortunately, we would like, and most of us want, to win and get a reward to come to us without making any effort. There's a saying that there are no free meals in this world. You have to pay for every single meal. So there is no free return or a reward in this world. You will always have to make an effort. Venerable Sumanawansa Thero, his Buddhism speaks about the value and importance of right effort in achieving something and getting rewarded.
With respect to Venerable Sandalanka Kalanadasan Thero, Mr. Karagala and dear devotees, when we talk about right effort, the best example we have are the stories of Mahabodhisattva's past lives. There is one Jataka story named Vannupata, which was preached by the Lord Buddha to encourage a bhikkhu who had given up his effort in attaining enlightenment. Dear devotees, once when the Lord Buddha was alive, there was a monk who went forth because of his faith of the Lord Buddha. After 5 years of receiving higher ordination, he became well knowledged in the Dhamma and Vinaya, so-called the Lord Buddha's teachings. After 5 years, he decided to go to a forest monastery in order to develop his mind, meditation. But even after 3 months of continuous effort, he couldn't even receive a slight improvement in his meditation. There he thought, I must be someone who is unable to achieve fruition of my meditation in this life. After that, he gave up and went back to his temple. There his fellow monks asked, did you come back because you weren't able to achieve fruition? If so, you shouldn't have given up so quickly. After saying this, the fellow monks accompanied him to meet the Lord Buddha. To enhance his courage, the Lord Buddha preached the Vannupata Jataka story, which elaborates that it is possible to achieve fruition through effort. Dear devotees, the Mahabodhisattva was once a merchant who led a large ox cart caravans to trade with distant lands. On one trip, he had to pass through a desert so extreme that the travel was only possible in the cool of the night. and all necessities needed to be brought along from home. There was no track. The desert pilot needed to navigate by the stars like a ship captain does. On the final night of the journey, with the end of the desert up ahead, the Bodhisattva ordered to discard the water and firewood to lighten the load and speed their travel. But during the night, the pilot fell deep asleep, and the oxen went off course. When morning arrived, the caravan was back where it had been the day before. The men set up camp in despair due to the lack of water. The Bodhisattva, fearing they would all perish, walked around looking for water and found a clump of kusha, grass. Knowing it could only grow if there was water underneath, he directed his men to dig a well. After 30 meters, they struck rock, and the men lost hope. But the Bodhisattva climbed down and placed his ear on the rock and heard water running beneath it. A young serving boy who was the only one who had not given up, the Bodhisattva ordered him to go down and break the rock with a sledgehammer, telling him that if he lacked courage and refused, they would all die. The boy did as he was told, and his blow broke the rock that had dammed the spring's rise. Water shot up out of the hole as high as a palm tree. Everyone drank and bathed. Then, using spare gear, they cooked rice. That night, they completed their journey, and after making a great profit, they returned home safely. Dear devotees, everyone has some level of effort in their life. But what is important is not giving up that effort until you achieve fruition. The Lord Buddha has also preached that there are 3 occasions where people give up their effort. In order to obtain a result, we should show special attention to these 3 stages. As we said in one of our previous sessions, they are Arambha Dhatu, the beginning or start, Nikkama Dhatu, in the middle or while you are doing something, and lastly, Parakkama Dhatu, at the end or after you have done something. Mr. Karagala, we should show special attention to these stages so that we do not give up our effort in them and develop right effort so that you can have a successful and peaceful life.
So this is the beauty of our religion, because as Venerable Sumanasutera explained, we can relate and convert the teachings of Buddhism in multiple places simply to our life, be it in a Sutta Dhamma or be it by analyzing and studying the character of our Lord Buddha, or be it studying the character of Mahabodhisattva, or reading a Jataka story. So there are multiple ways where we can learn how our religion, the Buddhism, and is helping us, and how we can convert the teaching of Buddhism into our daily life in a simple manner. Venerable Gampa Sumanasutero explained 3 stages of we would give up our efforts at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. As I started saying, most of us given up at least an effort in last 365 days in one of these stages. So it would be very important for us to understand in detail about these 3 stages and how Buddhism explain us to overcome and to understand these 3 stages. Whenever Santalankawe Kalana Dasana Thero, sir, can you explain these 3 stages bit in detail?
Mr. Karagala, and with respect to our Gampa Sumanasutero, dear devotees, although everyone has courage and effort, we give that up at the critical time where we need it the most. For an example, let's say you are inspired by someone's advice and are thinking of starting a new business. Efforts of some of the people are so low that they don't even bother starting it. This is what we call in Buddhism not having Arambha Dhatu. Not only is this related to our mundane life, but it also happens in our supramundane life as well. For example, when someone who wishes to develop their spiritual life hears or learns good kamatahan, so-called meditation practices, he becomes motivated and thinks of starting to practice meditation. But here also there are some people who give up and doesn't even bother to start practicing meditation. Again, there is another stage where people give up their effort. There are some people who maintain their effort at the beginning and start their new business. They keep doing it for a while, but then they give up. In Buddhism, the energy you need at this stage in the middle is called Nikkama Dhatu, so that you do not give up. In the same way, there are some meditation practitioners who start doing meditation, but they give up after a short while before attaining fruition. Now you see, Mr. Karagala, suppose someone is digging a well and someone else comes up to him and asks, how deep or how many days do you have to dig? Now what is the answer we are supposed to give to this question? 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, or you have to dig for 1 meter, 5 meters, or 10 meters? No. The only thing we can say is you have to dig until water appears. So when we are doing something, we need to keep our effort until we attain the results. The last stage where people give up their effort is the stage of where he needs Parakkama Dhatu. There are some people who has effort at the beginning and at the middle, but they do not complete their task or they give up before they achieve their goal. For example, when it comes to meditation, this stage is very important because in order to fuse meditation into our life, we need to develop our meditation so that it gives more happiness than the pleasure from worldly desires. So we shouldn't give up before we reach our ultimate goal of attaining enlightenment. Dear devotees, if I am to explain the meaning of right effort according to Buddhism, as we mentioned in one of our previous sessions, it is fourfold. First one, suppress the arising of evil states. The next is to eradicate evil that has already arisen. And also you have to develop the unarisen good. Finally, perfect the good already arisen. So, Mr. Karagala, a reward isn't something that gives temporary pleasure, but instead it gives a happiness that lasts for a long time, even in our next lives. To gain that sort of happiness, eternal happiness, we need to sustain our unbreakable right effort until we attain Nibbana.
So as we discussed, it is very understandable that learning makes you a complete person, and also mastering a skill will make you a successful person. But if you do not give the right effort and the energy for everything you do, both your learning and your skill will be wasted, and you will never be able to successful. Learning makes you a complete person, and mastering skill will make you a successful person. But if you do not give the right effort and the energy for the everything you do, both your learning and the skill what you have mastered will be wasted, and you will never be able to be a successful individual. I would like to turn towards a related area in terms of being successful. As we've explained in the last question, all of us want to be rewarded, and all of us want to win, and all of us want to be successful. But the reality of the life, the fact is that you cannot win all the time. The number of times you have win in your life so far definitely is much less than the number of times you have failed. That's the reality of our life. If we give up each time we fail, we will never be able to end what we have started. That is one of the most important things we have to understand. The most critical thing of being successful is never giving up attitude and fighting until we achieve our end goal. Venerable Kampa Sumano Satero, sir, what are the examples we can find out in Buddhism about this attitude of never giving up?
Mr. Karagala, there is a very famous Jatak story where the Maha Bodhisattva had the quality of never giving up, even though it seemed as if there was no hope. In the Matuposaka Jataka story, it is taught that in a previous birth, the Maha Bodhisattva was a merchant. One day he was sailing with his mother and his merchant friends. Then suddenly the climate changed and a storm started, and their ship got wrecked in the middle of the ocean. Everyone who was on the ship were thrown to the ocean. Among them were the Maha Bodhisattva and his mother. He knew that his mother couldn't swim, so our Maha Bodhisattva, with great effort and will, kept his mother on his shoulders and swam for 7 days until they reached land amidst the roaring ocean. Dear devotees, not only in his past lives, but even in his last life as Prince Siddhartha, he showed the great quality of never giving up. During the time when Maha Bodhisattva was practicing self-mortification, and during every single moment, he never felt the desire to give up. In the Majjhima Nikaya, Maha Sihanada Sutta, it is taught as what kind of things he did during that period. Some of the things that Maha Bodhisattva did during this period was, he did not accept food bought or specially made, or an invitation to a meal. He took food once a day, then once every 2 days, and eventually once every 7 days, thus even up to once every fortnight. He lived on forest roots and fruits. He pulled out his own hair and beard. He squatted continuously, devoted to maintaining the squatting position. He used a mattress of spikes as his bed. He would make his bed in a cemetery with bones of the dead for a pillow, and shepherd boys would come up and spit on him, urinate on him, throw dirt at him, and poke sticks into his ear. Then he started to eat a single kola fruit per day. Because he ate so little, the gleam of his eye sank far down in their sockets. looking like a gleam of water that was sunk far down in a deep well. Because he ate so little, his belly skin adhered to his backbone. Thus, if he wanted to touch his belly skin, he encountered his backbone. And if we wanted to touch his backbone, he encountered his belly skin. Because he ate so little, if we wanted to defecate or urinate, he fell over on his face right there. If he tried to ease his body by rubbing his limbs with his hands, the hair rooted at its roots would fall from his body as he rubbed. Then he started to eat a single rice grain per day. Thus, in such a variety of ways, he dwelt, pursuing the practice of tormenting and mortifying the body. Such was his asceticism. Dear devotees, after doing such kinds of self-mortification, Mahabodhisattva understood that he couldn't achieve nirvana through that and stopped that practice. At that time, 5 other ascetics who accompanied Mahabodhisattva in his practice, thinking that he had given up trying to attain enlightenment, abandoned him and went away. Mr. Karagala, even after being left alone, Mahabodhisattva didn't give up and kept on pursuing the truth. So I'd like to say, just as the Lord Buddha, before finding the right path, he tried all other practices in search of Nibbana, and by doing so, he could realize that both two extremes, self-mortification, Atta Kilamatana Yoga, and indulgence of sensual pleasure, Kama Sukallikana Yoga, wasn't helping. If ascetic Siddhartha gave up at that harsh time, there won't be the Gautama Buddha's dispensation.
Venerable Gampa Sumanasutero explained how Mahabodhisattva never gave up until he achieves his ultimate goal. Venerable Sandalanka Kalyana Dasanatero, sir, can you give some more examples for the never giving up attitude from the characters of Lord Buddha's disciples?
Mr. Karagala, now not only the Lord Buddha, but also his disciples who call great Arahants and Bhikkhunis also showed the great quality of never giving up. One such story is of how Maha Prajapati Gotami Devi received the going forth or so-called Pabbajja and the higher ordination for nuns. Once when the Lord Buddha visited the city Kapilavattu, his home kingdom, there his stepmother Maha Prajapati Gotami Devi asked for the ordination for women, but the Lord Buddha refused the request, saying, "Do not think about the going forth of women from the household life into homelessness in this moment." So, dear devotees, Maha Prajapati Gotami Devi made this request again and again, but she didn't receive the answer she desired. Then, with eyes full of tears, she paid homage to the Lord Buddha and went away. But even still, she didn't give up. After some time, Maha Prajapati Gotami Devi cut her own hair and wore robes. Hundreds of other Sakyan women also joined her. Then all of them, including Maha Prajapati Gotami Devi, set out on a journey to the city Vesali. Since they were all from royal families, this journey was very harsh on them. Their feet swelled and their bodies became covered with dust. They became miserable and saddened and cried with tearful faces. But no matter what hardship they had to face, they never gave up because they had a goal that they greatly desired to achieve. After traveling for a long time with many difficulties, they finally arrived arrived at the Kutagara hall in the forest of Vesali, the city. And that time, the Blessed One also resided there. Dear devotees, there they met Ananda Thero. Then Mahaprajapati Gotami explained to Ananda Thero that she once asked for the ordination for women but was rejected by the Lord Buddha. Then Ananda Thero said, Gotami, you stay here. I will go and talk to the Lord Buddha. After that, Ananda Thero went and asked the Lord Buddha for the ordination of women. But the Lord Buddha rejected that request. Ananda Thero asked again and again, but no matter what he said, the Lord Buddha refused to accept his request. Then Ananda Thero praised the qualities of Mahaprajapati Gotami Devi in front of the Lord Buddha. And he asked Lord Buddha, were there bhikkhunis who got the arahantship or who got the ordination in past Buddha's dispensation? So likewise, Ananda Thero convinced the Lord Buddha. Somehow, finally, the Lord Buddha agreed to give the ordination to women, but on one condition. They had to follow the Atta Garu Dhamma. Since this is not related to our topic, I won't be explaining what they are. Now, dear devotees, in this story, you should realize that this is not asking the pabbajja from a normal person, but from the all-knowing, the Blessed One. Although Mahaprajapati Gotami was refused in the first time, she didn't give up and tried again and again without giving up until she achieved her goal. And they proved themselves that they were eligible for ordination by giving up all their royal privileges. So you see, dear devotees, even though you might be refused for the first time or failed your first time, that refusal or the failure is not a reason to give up. Until you achieve your goal, you should fight back and never give up.
So, in the sport of boxing, there's a saying that if you knock yourself down 7 times and if you get up 7 times, at least you will end standing the fight. So what we need to understand, the most important thing is finishing what we have started. When you continue to do that, one day we will definitely be able to win and be successful. Well, today we discuss about the right effort and right sacrifice and never giving up attitude, and how to get the right reward through that, which is very relevant to current conditions and the current environment of this world, because world is going that fast where everybody has to sacrifice something. So that brings us to end of today's session. On behalf of Malasekara Foundation and the JAYA TV, as always, with the great gratitude, I thank Venerable Sandalanka Kalanadasa Thero and Venerable Gampa Sumanwasa Thero for being with us, sharing their noble knowledge with us and with all of you. And bless all of you. Teruvan Saranai.